All right, everybody. Today we are going to spend some time talking about and training on the Nickley Group buyer contract to close onboarding process. Okay. So, obviously, this is, once you've gotten your buyer client fully under contract, fully executed, um, you have to get all of your documents, dispositioned correctly, both in the dot loop system as well as the KW command system, and then onboarded to the team so that the transaction coordinators on the team can pick that file up, pick that relationship up with your buyer, and continue to create great service and a world-class experience excuse me, for that client to all the way through to the closing table. Okay, so we're going to walk through those steps step by step and explain obviously the benefit of that, and how that's all meant to and all designed to help you as an agent continue to do more business and set up your clients as well as the transaction coordinators on our team to continue that world-class experience for the client, right? So first thing that you want to make sure that you do is start with dot loop, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just go over to dot loop. And the biggest thing here, guys, is that you want to make sure that you have your executed documents and disclosures that are relevant to this transaction as the only documents that are in your loop. You don't want to have partial documents or documents that maybe have, one initial but are missing another one, or partially filled out, or whatever the case is. What you want to make sure that you do here in dot loop, because obviously this is where you start your transaction, right? You go in, when you start working with a buyer, they're ready to make an offer, you create a loop, you have all your documents, you get everything filled out. Once you have everything fully executed with your deal, then you want to go back into dot loop and make sure that you clear out all the old stuff that's in there that's like I said, a partial or incomplete, or maybe a disclosure or a rider or something that doesn't apply to the deal, and archive those and get rid of those so that all you see in your dot loop file is just the executed documents that are pertinent and relevant to the deal, so that when the TCs need to get into dot loop, to be able to pull those documents and send them out to all of the parties involved, the title company, the lender, your clients, they're not having to hunt and fish for the proper documents. They have what they need in there, and that's your responsibility as an agent, as a professional, to make sure that these are set up in a way that helps set up your TC for success as well. Okay. So you want to make sure that you upload these into your dot loop, and that you label them appropriately, right? So whatever your address is, you want to put that in there, and then the name of the document, right? You want to make sure that you have executed whatever it is: purchase contract, lead-based paint disclosure, KW buyer disclosure, so that again, your TC, when they come in here to pull documents out, so that they can then attach them to the email stuff that they send out when they're onboarding your file, they have the right documents, and they're not sending out the wrong ones, or they're not sending out partials, or they're not having to filter through 10 different 15 different documents that could be in here, and well, which one is the right one? They don't have time for all that, right? So you guys have a responsibility to make sure that when this is done, that it is the proper documents fully executed and everything else is archived. Okay. We do have a full video, or actually two different videos on dot loop, on how to work dot loop. So if you haven't done that, I would certainly encourage that you watch those videos. But that's what you would want to do, okay? So once you have the documents here in .loop, and you've archived the old ones, which, if you needed to archive, you simply select a box, hit archive, it'll make it go away. If you ever have to pull that document back up, it's okay. You can unarchive your archived, okay? Excuse me. So once you have everything in here, then the next step in the process, guys, is to get into KW Command and move these documents from .loop to KW Command. The Keller Williams Command platform is for our office compliance, to make sure that all the documents that are supposed to be included in that transaction are there, that they are all signed and initialed and fully executed. That's meant to protect you, to protect the brokerage, and to ensure that we're compliant with the Florida Real Estate Commission and the laws and stuff that brokers are bound by and all that stuff, right? It also ensures that we can get the DAs, the disbursement authorizations, issued for closings, so that when you walk away from the closing table, you have your check in your hand, right? That's pretty important. So KW Command is a very, very, very important part of the process. And I'm walking through this training in the steps that it should be. So you should do .loop first, then KW Command, and then we'll walk over to the buyer side contract to close document, okay? So what you do is just simply go over to KW Command. What you want to do is go to contacts. If you don't already have a contact created in KW Command, then you need to add a contact, which if you wait for it to load. So if you go to add contact, obviously you put in the name, phone number, add the sales pipeline, and that's about all that you need to do to create a contact, okay? So I've already got one created. We'll use the test one that I have, but if you don't already have one created, this is what you would do. So let me go to the test one that I have. Let's see. And we're going to use this one. So once you have a contact created, then you just simply do what I did. You go and you select the contact. It populates this page. Once you have this opened up, you go to where it says opportunities here. All right, everybody see that? You select opportunities. And we don't have any opportunities already in this file, right? It's brand new, so we don't have anything here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an opportunity within KW Command. So when we go to create opportunity, it's going to populate this screen. This defaults to Orlando Central. That's our market center. The team would be the Nickley Group, obviously. Tom being the owner of the opportunity because of the team association. Opportunity type. So if you're working with a buyer, you obviously are going to want to change this from a listing opportunity type to a buyer opportunity type. Okay. Client name. Obviously, it would pull over from over here. But if you needed to change that, you could. Actually, you can't change it from here. You could, if you had a drop-down menu, you could change. You could select a different one. But opportunity name, that is always going to be the property address. Okay, so my recommendation would be come back over to .loop, simply copy your address, come back to command, and paste that in there. Right? Very, very, very simple to do, right? You don't have to use tags if you don't want to. You only have to fill out the sections that are asterisk. So budget you don't have to do if you don't want to. Commission rate would be your portion of from a buyer's agent side. What is the co-broke? Is it 3%? Is it 2.5%? What is it? So let's say it's a 3%. Opportunity phase. Again, if you're working with an active buyer and you're writing contracts, they're going to be active. Okay. And the opportunity stage. Again, if you're working with somebody active, you could either keep it in negotiations or you could make it buyer pending, depending on, you know, how strongly you feel about it. That really doesn't affect anything internally. It doesn't affect your deal status. It doesn't affect anything with the NICLE group. This is just something within the KW command system. If you were using this as your pipeline CRM, then that would be really relevant. But so either way, it could work either stage here. So then you want to create opportunity. Once that's created, you'll see now we have this opportunity in here, right? This wasn't here before. Right, does everybody see that? So now what we want to do is select this, but let me give you a quick recap, right? So we went from .loop over to KW command. We went to contacts. We created a new one, if you remember, over here, or if you didn't, if you already had one in there, you would search for it and select it. Once it's been selected, you're going to go to opportunities. You're going to go to create opportunity, fill in that form that we just filled out, and then it's going to create this, right? Everybody on the same page? Cool. So now we're going to select the opportunity. There it goes. It's going to open up a new browser with the opportunity itself. Okay. And then we're going to go to the Documents tab. Okay. So we're going to click on Documents. Once you have this page opened up, you're going to select your checklist type. Quick drop down option here. So you have 4 options. You have residential, non-condo, co-op, or vacant land. So not a condominium, not a co-op, not vacant land. So this is going to be residential single-family home here. This one's going to be residential condo or co-op. This will be residential vacant land. This is commercial, obviously, right? So in our example here, we're going to use just a regular residential single-family home. So this is the checklist type that we would select. So you're going to select that. That then populates these 3 options. Okay, consultation phase. If you notice, there's nothing in over here. Okay, but again, you have a deal that's under contract now. So, and you're uploading all of your documents and making sure that they get where they need to go so that that file can be onboarded with our team. So you are going to select under contract. And as soon as you do that, all of these documents populate in here that could be relevant to the transaction. Okay, not all of them apply. Not all of them are, going to be relevant, but there is a whole list of them here that if you, if that's part of your deal, then there's a bunch of them that are pre-populated. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to go into .loop, back over to .loop, and we need to take these documents that are in .loop and move them over here, and they're the home that they go in here. Okay. So best way to do that is go back over to .loop, and you want to download each of these documents individually. You don't want to select all 3 and hit download because it's going to download all 3 of them into one PDF. That's not what you want to do. Okay, so you want to do them separately. So select the box, hit download. It's going to create your PDF and pull it down here for you. Do the next one, download, same thing, and then we'll do the third one, download. So now we have all 3 of the documents from .loop down here ready where we can drag them and drop them into KW command. Okay, so now we're going to go back over to KW command. Here's our documents. And we'll start here. So this is the executed as is residential contract. So we need to find where that is. So here it is. We're going to select the add to file. That populates this box. Then we're simply going to drag and drop that PDF right into there, and we're going to hit assign. And we're done with that, right? We just need to repeat that process for the next two documents. Now, if you happen to accidentally move the document into the wrong file, don't freak out. It's okay. It's easy to fix. You just come over here, select this, you hit remove, confirm that you want it removed, and that document is no longer in that file. Okay? So it's really easy to do. So if you happen to make a mistake, that's okay. But we're going to go back. We're going to drop this back in there. We're going to hit assign. That's good. Now our next document was the executed lead-based paint. So let's look and find the lead-based paint disclosure. So there it is right there. So now we're going to hit add file. Populates that same box. We're going to dump that in there. We're going to hit assign. And now that's in there. Okay? And you can see here where the ones that don't have anything say not uploaded, and then when you have them in there, that'll give you a little check and say uploaded. This one's going to be the KW disclosure. I think that's back up here. Let's see. Yep. Keller Williams Comprehensive Disclosure Buyer. And we're going to select File. We're going to drag and drop over here. We're going to hit Assign. And that's done. So that's all that has to be done with KW Command. You just have to make sure, of course, that all of your executed documents, and these documents are reviewed with Keller Williams Office compliance to make sure that all initials are where they need to be, signatures are in place, T's are crossed, I's are dotted. So you want to make sure that when you move these documents over here that they are, again, fully executed and they are done correctly, okay? Guys, you got to remember, as sales professionals, as licensed realtors, we have an obligation to make sure that our documents are fully executed, that they're clean, that we didn't miss anything, and that we are uploading these documents into this compliance tool to make sure that not only are we protected, but our clients are protected, our brokerage is protected, and our DAs get issued without any issues. Okay, so take this seriously. Don't shortchange this. Make sure that you're doing this before you are submitting your C2C form, your contract to close form, which is our next step here. Okay, so so that's it. Yeah, next step would be to now go over to the contract to close document, which we get in the TNG Knowledge Hub. So we pull up this page, of course. We go right to the C2C forms. Once we're in these forms, it's the very first one, top left, buyer contract to close. You simply click on that. It's going to open up a new browser, which is going to be a jot form that we've created that makes it super, super simple to get all of the relevant and pertinent information regarding your deal over to the transaction coordinator that's going to be working and managing your file from the contract phase here to the closing table, and make sure that they're set up for success, guys. This is a really, really important piece, right? You have to think and remember, you've worked hard with this client. You've got a good relationship with this client. They like you. They trust you. You are helping them purchase a home. It's a big deal. And you are now introducing them to another member of your team, which is a support piece of your team. And that person is going to continue the relationship, right? And we want that handoff to be as seamless as possible to make sure that, again, they are continuing to get that world-class experience that you already set up on the front end. And then we just continue that all the way through. So So we'll walk through one of these and step by step and explain some things out. So obviously, agent, you're going to want to make sure that you select the pertinent person. Lead source. Again, we've thought through all the different lead types and lead sources that possibly could apply. So one of these would typically be the right fit. So make sure that you're thinking through on that and that you do select the right one. So let's just say that it is, let's say it's a Zillow lead. If you had a showing assistant involved to help you with it, obviously you would select somebody from there. If not, leave it blank. Your offer acceptance date, that's going to be, of course, your effective date of the contract. So let's just use today's date as an example. Your closing date, obviously, that would be whatever you have on your contract. So you make sure that you get that filled out. It's, again, I'm just kind of, dummying one up here. Your agent split, if it is, obviously Zillow lead, that would be a 50-50. What is the buyer's agent's percentage, right? So what's the co-broke that you're getting on it? This was a 3%. Contract price, you would want to make sure that you fill that out. So let's just say it's a $350,000 price point. Okay. The Keller Williams $599 fee, you absolutely should be getting that without question. So that answer should be yes. Hometown Heroes credit, if that applies, if you hit yes, it'll ask you some additional questions here. If you hit no, it takes a couple of those away. Seller paid closing costs, is that happening? If you hit yes, it'll ask you for how much. If you select no, obviously it takes that away. Loan type, whatever, there's really only a couple options there. So let's say it's conventional. Did you have a home warranty? Again, if you said yes, it's going to populate how much. Escrow amount, let's say it's $5,000. Again, it'll be whatever you had on your contract. And if there is a second escrow due, yes or no. If you hit yes, then it'll populate how much and when it's due. Okay. So we've really spent a lot of time thinking this out and trying to forecast every situation that would apply in terms of turning in your file. Okay. So once you have that first page filled out, you hit next. Inspections. Will you be attending inspection? Yes. Or no, right? Very, very simple. Let's say, yes, I am. Does the house, is it on septic? If you select yes, then the TCs now know that they may have to order septic inspections, or they can talk to your client about septic inspections. If it doesn't, then that's not obviously something that they don't need to worry about. Your inspection end date, right? Whatever that is. If today was our effective date, I don't know, maybe next Friday is our the end of our inspection period. Let's say it's 10 days. Again, this is all stuff that you guys will know from your contract, so you're just inputting information here. Are your inspections already scheduled? Depending on the situation, your client may already know somebody that they want to use, and they're not, they're not open to a recommendation that you may have, or as a team that we may provide them. So they may go ahead and set up their own, or maybe you're that agent that that does that for them, and that's okay. So when you turn in your contract to close form, we have a question there: is it already scheduled? If yes, who is it with? And what time is it scheduled for? Okay. If it's not already scheduled, then you can put notes in here if you want, right? You may put in there recommended so-and-so inspection, or, client wants to discuss options, or it could be a variety of things that maybe you had discussion with your client about regarding inspections. I know for me, I will typically recommend one of two different inspectors, and a lot of times the client will take my lead on that. So I'll put in here, prefers working with, whatever, ABC inspections, right? So that the TC knows that I've talked to my client about that and that they would prefer to work with that company, okay? So get that information in there, hit next. Listing agent information is going to be obviously the next tab here. So you want to make sure to get in good relevant information here. So let's just say that it's, just pick another agent on the team. Let's say it's Tis Morel. Whoops. I'm just going to use, it's my wife's number. Listing agent email. It's going to be tis at the Nickley group.com. And seller's name is going to be Sam Seller. Whoops. Jeez. And if you know seller 2, you can put that in. If it's a husband, wife, and you can put the wife's name in there, that's fantastic. Okay, that helps the TCs in their onboarding process to make sure we have as much information as we can. Okay, really, really important, guys, that this be filled out. Again, the asterisks are a must. If you don't get one of these fields filled out, it will not allow you to go next. Okay, you can't speed through this and have a bunch of missing things. So these are required fields that have to be filled out in order for you to onboard your file. Okay, so this is filled out. Hit next. Property type. Again, you have options in here, but single family home, so we'll go with that. Address is, I'll just use our office address here. Is the property occupied? Is it vacant? Does it have a tenant? Let's just say that it's vacant. Is it on an ELB or a combination? Right? Let's say it's on ELB. If it has a combo or an alarm, you're going to want to fill that information out. And is it a gated community? If it is, they're going to ask for the gate code. If it's not, then obviously that field goes away. Okay? So really important, guys. You got to remember, you in this situation or in this process, you are teeing up and preparing your transaction coordinator to continue the relationship that you have with your client and make this handoff as smooth and seamless as possible. So as much information you can provide here, the better. Okay, so that's property details. So we're going to hit next. Lender. Again, are they working with one of our preferred lenders? If they are, great. If not, let us know who it is. So let's say they're working with Mike. Processor, whoever his processor is. If you don't know the processor, then put in the actual lender name. This is Rachel. I happen to know that. I don't know that lender's phone number, but are there any contingent? So you want to fill this in if you can. I don't know her number offhand here. Are there contingencies associated with your purchase? If yes, then they're going to populate, well, what are those? Okay, so inspections, mortgage, and let's say appraisal. Okay, and if there are any other ones, fill that in as well. Next, title company information. So let's say we're using Innovative Title. Okay, as a buyer and a buyer's agent, the title company information oftentimes is noted in the MLS in the realtor remarks section down at the bottom. If it's not there, then what you want to do is connect with the listing agent to find out who it is so that you have it, obviously, and that you can get it inputted here. Most of the time you'll find it in the MLS, though. That's pretty typical. If you know who that is, you know who the processor is on the deal. You put their information in. The email piece here, guys, is really, really, really important. You don't want to skip over this or not fill this in or fill in some sort of bogus email. our TCs really need to be able to have as much information as they can to be able to communicate with the title company and, you know, a lender and, you know, inspectors and your clients and so on and so forth. That's why we need this information, because they need to be able to communicate with these different vendors to seamlessly get everything to the finish line, right? So if the email address is not in the MLS, maybe just the title company name is, then you're going to want to, you know, again, call the listing agent and find out. They should be able to give that to you. If they're not able to provide that for you, go into Google, search the title company name, and oftentimes you can find an email address that way, okay? If for whatever reason you have exhausted all of those options and you've really made an effort to try to find it, and it just doesn't exist, in that situation and only in that situation, you will use something like unknown, okay? As a way to still be able to fill in the field and move on to the next step, okay? But you cannot leave that blank. I just strongly impress, guys, don't just do this because it's inconvenient to try to find it, okay? Put in the effort, make the extra effort, and find it so that you're setting up your TC for success, okay? And then obviously, you know, the phone number associated with, you know, your title company needs to be filled out, right? So you have all that filled out. That's done. You hit next. Buyer contact. Is this a mail away closing? Yes or no. Buyer information. Let's just say it's the seller was what? Sam Seller. So let's do Bob the buyer, right? Bob's email address is going to be bob@gmail.com. Okay. His cell phone number, again, we'll just use the office. Okay. If you know Bob's wife, fill that information in, or if there's a second buyer, you know, whatever the case is, fill that information in there. Do you know your buyer's current mailing address? If you do, fill it down. You know, if you hit yes, it'll populate for you to be able to fill that out. There's a letter that gets sent out, you know, congratulating them on being under contract. If you don't know it, obviously select no, and then that doesn't go out. Okay. So that's that. You hit next. Why did your clients decide to purchase? What you want to do here, guys, is give your TC something to be able to kind of connect with your client on when they make their introduction call. So that, you know, they, again, it's all about continuing this relationship and continuing this world-class experience. So if you give your TC something to work with here, when they make their introductory call, they can speak to that, right? They may say, you know, hey, you know, Bob the buyer, congratulations. It's my understanding that you guys are first-time home buyers. Or, hey, it's my understanding that you guys just relocated for retirement. Whatever the case is, it gives them an opportunity to be able to talk to something related to their situation and help create that seamless transition, right? So put some notes in here, right? And right, so maybe it's a first-time home buyer and they're reloading from out of area, right? That's great. Now it gives your TC something to be able to kind of work off of, right? If you know your buyer's birthday, if you hit yes, it's going to ask you for your birthday information. So use that as you know. Once you've completed that, you go to next. And then the last step here is any special notes or instructions to your TC. Again, guys, you want to provide the TCs with, you know, as much information related to the intricacies of the deal that wasn't previously asked for in a drop-down option or a pre-populated field, right? You know, give them some details around something related to escrow, or something related to the home inspection period, or there's a lot of details in a million different scenarios, but you want to be able to provide some instructions. And maybe your client's an older client and they don't do texting, right? So let your TC know that your client prefers actual phone calls. Or maybe it's a younger client and that they don't prefer to be on the phone. They really prefer to text, right? So that's helpful for your TC as well. Also, what you could put in here would be, send a note to your TC to say, in addition to the other things you put in there, hey, I'd like to spend 2 minutes with you as you onboard the properties or the files, so that I could talk to you about my clients. And then that way the TC, you can get, a couple minutes with them one-on-one, bring them up to speed on some things that, they may need to be aware of moving forward throughout the deal. Okay. So really important to add some good notes here to be able to talk to so that your TC is on board and understands, and that has an awareness of some of the details associated with the deal that again weren't already identified previously here. Okay. So once you do all that, you hit preview answers. This gives you an opportunity to go back through, review all of the stuff that you previously inputted, make sure that you didn't mistype anything and that everything is in there is accurate, all the dates are correct, all the names are spelled correctly, email addresses are right, all the information's correct before you submit it. Because again, once they receive this on their end, this is what they go off of. They onboard these buyer side transactions, listings the same way, just through the listing C2C, with information that we provide them, guys. So we have to make sure that we're not misspelling or mistyping or transposing phone numbers or digits in an email, because then they have to go chase this stuff down and they're really, really busy. And we need to make sure that we're setting them up for success. Okay. So once all that's been done, you simply hit submit, and then you get a thank you. Your buyer C2C has been received. Please note, if submitted after 3:30, your contract to close will be processed the next business day. Okay. And then it says, again, to make sure that you've got that opportunity created in Command and that your documents are uploaded. My coaching, my instruction here, my training is that you go to .loop first. From .loop, you go to Command and get all your documents in there. From that, you come over to the C2C, fill that in. That way, all that's completed, all that's done. They have everything that they need. The client is set up for success. You're set up for success. The TC is set up for success. Our team is set up for success. It's a win-win-win around the board. So follow this process verbatim with all of your buyer side C2C deals. Thanks so much for your time, guys. Talk soon.